Let's look at this tree from bottom to top. Good morning, everybody. I cancelled the first live stream because the audio was not working, and I'm kind of happy because I had attached the phone and it was unbalanced, so I had a chance to correct it again by restarting, and I don't think anybody, or maybe one or two, had connected at the most, at least on the report on the screen here. So I welcome you back. Had a lovely day yesterday at the beach south of Haifa with one of the priests. Walked a lot, and we listened to a commentary about G.K. Chesterton, an amazing character. He wrote a book 100 years ago called The Everlasting Man. It's an incredible work dealing with the themes of the day culturally, particularly the prejudices within the scientific community, with his classical famous irony and humor, brilliance, genius, amazing richness of imagination and vocabulary, incredible logic. And there are 3 or 4 different points of logic in every word and every sentence, every phrase he says. It's kind of difficult. It really requires mental gymnastics to follow this genius. And the commentary was saying that C.S. Lewis, who was very famous, is entirely to be found within the writings of Chesterton. They were friends. They knew each other. C.S. Lewis was an atheist, and he considers this book, The Everlasting Man, to be one of the most important contributions to his abandoning atheism and becoming a believer in God. We're talking about very brilliant people here. It's amazing the level of intellectual endeavor and cogent argumentation, brilliant observations, and very critical skills toward statements that are often put out as absolute truth and maybe not qualify under that category at all. It's amazing how our mind and our heart can be in 2 very different places, 2 very different modes of reality and our memory. Yeah, I'm fascinated by the story of the Red Sea for many reasons, and it's part of the struggle of the human being to get our act together. And so the Egyptians have a change of heart, having let the Israelites leave from their service, from their servitude, from the slavery condition. And even though the Egyptians had suffered much because of the Israelites, the famous 10 plagues, this doesn't enter the equation when they're resolving to take them back by force into their servitude. It's amazing how we have a hard time learning as human beings the value of experience. And the school of hard knocks, sometimes they can't be hard enough to get out through our, as somebody would say in more less refined context, and through their thick skull. Our thick skull is very thick, and one will continue in drugs, and another one will continue lying, and another one will continue in debauchery of all kinds, and Another will continue in laziness and not shake a leg and do something to improve the situation. And another will always stay in a complaining mode, even though that doesn't help anything. And they'll just cultivate bitterness in their own heart and memory. And we stay stuck there, you know. And they wanted to stay stuck in that structure of dominating another people as slaves, even though it cost them so much. We love our comfort, we don't like to be disturbed, we don't like to face the revolution that our lives need internally. It's amazing. Then on the other hand, another reflection, the first one actually that came to me was the fact is, let's say there was no Red Sea story. Don't you like the Red Sea story for a lot of reasons? I think that it just makes it's just so marvelous. It changes it raises the bar of our joy of the victory of humanity over major obstacles, over the intervention of God for those of us who believe. It's an amazing, amazing, amazing story. And so difficulties in our lives that seem to block our way forward, and the only scenario resembles destruction and disaster ahead. And yet there are solutions, good solutions, God's solutions, God's providence. We have the story of God and His providence in Egypt in a big way for all of us who believe in God. And one of the first big milestones of that is the story of Joseph and the arrival in Egypt. And then the story of the Red Sea. And God provides. And how many times evil has been done and it's a disaster, and yet God is going to turn things around for good. So maybe you have some story in your life that's still there, lingering because of the pain, the broken relationships, and yet God is working a marvelous work of glory and providence through that. And we don't see it yet. The story of some major injustice, even inside the family. I mean, don't be ashamed, it's in the Bible, Joseph and his brothers. Okay, it's really a motive for shame and for just pulling out our hair in a way, saying, you know, how can you even imagine such a thing happening? And many people today have many stories like this. Stories of very deep abuse, very deep hurt, very deep unfairness, injustice, and God's providence is at work. So that's something we're carrying from the past. And then we come to the Red Sea story, and we come sometimes to that point where we don't see a way forward. Maybe it's death. Maybe it's in illness. I just read the story of a newborn baby in Rhode Island who was born with some major health issues, and there was a doctor attending there who was very fond of a saintly priest in Spain, who's not known, not known at all. I never heard of him. And he died about 140 years ago. But this priest, a very simple priest, but very filled with holiness, and they call him now like the Curé of Ars of Spain, like John Marie Vianney of France, and prayed and interceded for. They asked this saint to pray for this little baby, and he was cured. But then an hour after that prayer, this doctor was able to note that the heartbeat had returned. Imagine not having a heartbeat for an hour. I think it was like an hour. I hope I'm representing the story correctly. There are a bunch of crows up here on this tree as well. I'm trying to get you all the crows. I had a whole bunch of them there and I didn't get them on the screen. I must have disturbed some party they were having. Or they perceive me as a predator. So our Red Sea moment when we were faced with impossibility for going forward. And we have trouble at our back and trouble in front of us and trouble on the sides of us. Somebody spoke once about walls every side, and the only option was to look upwards and pray. And that story is a great motivator in that regard. And sometimes we push God for signs like the gospel story. And the lake continues to go down here. And we push God for signs, and the Red Sea is pushing us for faith. Pharaoh saw all the signs he could want to see to know what he should do with God's people. I think we've enough to chew on there, people. God bless you. See you later, alligators. Have a blessed day. Praying for you if you're facing a Red Sea or if you're struggling with a memory from the past that's holding you back, because God is provident. He has us in his arms, in the palm of his hand, for blessing, for revelation of great glory. No matter how big the clouds were this morning.